Good morning, Noah. Good morning, Jess. Good morning, Miami. Justin, Nick, how are you guys? Choo Choo, how are you? Jose, man, good morning. Hey, good morning, man. How are you? I was walking around the car show in my local town, and a little fruit fly hit my eye, and my eye has been bugging me this entire time. Terrible. Yeah, gold looks great. Gold looks good, and it's not crowded either, which is important. Um, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit there. I'm going to disagree with you because you said market looks less risk on than it used to with gold going higher and higher. Well, then let me ask you this. How's gold been performing for the last 13 months? That's right. No, gold has been up a ton in the last 13 months. You know what else has been up a lot in the last 13 months? Stock market's been up quite a bit in the last 13 months too. So trying to correlate that the market feels less risk on now, I don't think that's the right correlation, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, you shouldn't even really be thinking about that. The question you have to ask yourself is, no matter what you're trading, what group is it in? Is it giving you an entry tactic that you understand? And then are you managing risk from your entry? Gold's been a good group. So I've been in and out of the gold names for a little bit, handful of times myself, whether I was trading GFI or KGC. And then I'm like looking at WPM going into today. And then there have been times when I've been in NASDAQ names or names in the S&P 500 or names in the Russell 2000. So it's like, think about more what group that they're in and just focus on groups in the top 40, right? And sometimes gold has been number one, and then now semiconductors are right up there, or like I forget what group. Let me just check really quickly. Yeah, group number 3 is this entertainment, which is like Spotify and Netflix. And then, right above it is tobacco. So, one's a consumer defensive and another one's just considered entertainment, right? So it's like, do we really care, what group it's in? No, it's like just focus on it being in the top 40 groups. Does it give you a low risk entry when you go to take it? And can you manage risk from there? You've got a couple of options. You've got FinViz, you've got Market Surge. You can create your own. You've got Deep View. Both are all, or should I say both? All four, 3 or 4 are really good options. There's 197 to 166 industry groups depending on how you sort them. There you go. TradingView has industry rig. That's good. It's perfect, actually. Yeah, that works too. Yeah, creating your own is not a bad thought. Yeah, my thoughts on hymns. It's just going sideways here. If it's going to go, I talked about this one yesterday. It needs to get going over 58.76 and be powerful from there and not fall back. Yeah, they looked like easy breakouts. When something goes up 30%, it makes this consolidation dwarfed. But the reality is in real time, when you were 70% above the 50 simple, hard to buy. Now you're 105% above the 50 simple moving average. Can't do it. Like I said, it worked yesterday, but you take 100 trades like that in your lifetime, and you will end up with your ass kicked, guaranteed. ABGO was nice yesterday too, man. Oracle, what a move. Market pressing up nicely here this morning, huh? IBM. Oh, it's gonna be a good day. Oh. Yesterday, I bought Shopify and SoFi. I trimmed down a little more TMDX. And the day before, I cut my Netflix. It had finally got extended from the 50, and I was just like, all right, it's a slower mover. Let's just go ahead and get out of this thing. And, thing gets underneath the 20, and I was just like, yep, I'm done with it. Ends up flushing out even harder. And I was like, all right, cool. Glad to be done with it. By the end of the day, kind of wicks back up, and then all day yesterday just running. How annoying. Serve. Yeah, consolidating nicely above the 200. It's good to see. Don't hate it. Also, this APLD, decent little pullback right into the rising 10. Should see what happens soon. How about Shop? What about it? I just bought it yesterday. Steve-O, good morning. How are you, brother? No. Yeah, Jason Shapiro talks about stuff like this where it's like a news failure. But in order for it to be a news failure, if the market had a bunch of longs in it and it was crowded to the long side, then you would be a little bit more cautious. But because the market is not crowded to the long side, there's not a bunch of sellers. In fact, there's still a bunch of people on the sidelines looking for these dips to get in. So, I wouldn't really even call it an expectation breaker. It's just a down day after a bunch of up days in a row. I mean, the market just still needs that anyway. Oh my God. GameStop. I think CEG just needs to digest a little bit further, right? Let this 50 catch up. Let it see it. I mean, if you had said the short term on this, it kind of looks like a little bear flag, right? You get the move down, you get a consolidation. But I mean, it looks fine still. Nice, really. It's a big move up. Let's see if the 50 will just catch up. It'll rebase, pop up, kind of give you a little move up higher, and then, maybe a little pullback versus a flattening or an ascending moving average. Nothing really wrong with it yet, honestly. Obviously it's in the same group as GEV, and, this one's the leader, but also, in my opinion, needs a little bit more time. And VST, same deal, needs a little bit more time. JP Morgan versus gold. I'm not even thinking about stuff like that. I'm long JP Morgan, and I'm looking to potentially buy a gold name today. So, not even thinking about JP Morgan versus gold. You're trying to learn shorting. The best way I would think about shorting, Mississippi, nice to see a question from you too, brother. I got you in a moment. The best way to short is when the market's been going up, what have been the weakest names, right? Those are the ones you should short on distribution days. I don't know that I would go chasing AppLovin as a short because it's actually been pretty strong with the market, right? Market goes up, AppLovin's been going up. Right? Market pauses. AppLovin's been pulling back just like a handful of other names on pretty low volume, nothing insane. A stock that you'd rather short, in my opinion, non-financial advice, is a stock like LTH, right? This thing, the market was going up and this thing had already broken and the market was still going up and this thing was just going sideways. While the market is going up, this thing can no longer go up, right? How about something like MMYT? Same deal, right? Market's been going up for, I don't know, since April, and this thing stopped going up in February, right? So now all of a sudden, this thing's living below the 200 simple moving average. You don't need me to show you what happens when a stock makes a big move and then gets below the 200 simple, do you? Why don't you go ahead and look at ANF? It makes a big move up and then starts to live below the 200 simple moving average. Well, that's what can happen. Not saying that's what will happen, but when the market's going up, what stocks are no longer going up? Focus on those. You're looking at short AppLovin, and I don't know why. Of all the stocks, what do I think of Bloom Energy? And Bloom looks pretty good. I don't know that I don't think this is buyable here today, right? Like, where's the setup exactly? Like, this isn't coming out of a tight area. I want it to be coming out of something tight, right? Like, this was fairly interesting here as it was holding the 200. It was building a series of higher lows, right? Had kind of built this little flat pivot here. And even right down here, it got nice and tight, right? Then you had, really nice expansion from an area of compression against the 200. But now that it's just kind of, channeling higher, when and how do you get yourself involved in this thing? For me, price needs to go sideways a little bit or a pullback against an ascending moving average. But it does look good. I like Bloom Energy. Yeah, Apple, there you go. You want a short? Apple. Yeah, this looks terrible. Much easier. A much easier short than Apple Oven. My thoughts on SMCI looked a lot like NVIDIA in 2023. I think you're mistaken. SMCI moved with NVIDIA in 2023. I think SMCI is dog poo-poo. Why the hell does anybody need SMCI when Dell makes what SMCI makes? They make racks, bro. They make literally racks that you put computer hardware in that they don't make. Dell does the exact same thing and does it better and American made and actually reports earnings and sales. NRG looks like a short. I mean, maybe, but you guys are talking about shorting stocks basically above all key moving averages in still an uptrend according to the 200. Much easier to short a stock like MMYT. I mean, look at what happens. This stock has been hanging out under the 200 while the market's been going up. Guys, does nobody remember Sedge? Does nobody remember Sedge at all? While the market was going up, Sedge was just going down. I mean, here we are in the midst of 2023 and the stock market's going up and Sedge is going down. And then what happened? Like, why the hell are you guys focusing stocks well above the 200? Focus on stocks below the 200. Like, absolutely no reason to be thinking about shorting NRG when you've got stocks like MMYT and others. Yeah, I have a process and a system for wiring out gains. Yeah, of course I do. I go to my broker. I select an amount, usually a little bit more than I owe Uncle Sam. And then I just press directly to the bank in which those deposits are usually made from. No, man, I don't have I don't pull money anymore. I do every 3 months, but that's it, just so I can pay my taxes and then and that's it. Take what else I need to live out, and that's all the money I need. I try to live below my means ever since I bought my house. What is my pre-market routine? My post-market routine's a little bit more important. That's when I do my scanning at night. So I really focus on making sure that my watch list is buttoned up. In the pre-market, I'm talking to you guys and I'm really watching the futures markets. I'm going over some of the stocks that I'm interested for the day. All my alerts are set. I'm just monitoring my personal positions that I own. So my pre-market routine is very simple. It's just kind of prepping for the morning. And that's by going through the futures markets, which you guys aren't seeing. They're on my other screens. And yeah, that's it. So I'm just watching the futures markets, just watching the charts I already own and the stocks I already own. checking for any earnings gappers, that anything I may have missed, looking at a stock like Oracle and see how it's performing in the morning after the gap up. And that's it. Short candidate, GDDY, GoDaddy. Yeah, another one of these really nice big move up in a stage 2. While the market's been going up, GoDaddy's, kind of looking nasty. Gap down on earnings, just been going sideways. Another gap down on earnings, been going sideways. That's not too pretty, that's for sure. Was my QBTS short? Yeah, my QBTS short was a simple thesis. While Rigetti was ripping yesterday, Rigetti was just flying yesterday out there curing cancer, and QBTS cured cancer, QUBT was flying yesterday. QBTS couldn't even get itself off the mat. So I'm literally looking at this yesterday, where this is what's going on with QBTS while QUBT is flying. Right. So in the back of my mind, I was just looking for a spot to short QBTS because I know they're diluting, right? It's like they're running an offering right now. So they're selling shares. So, I figured in the back of my mind, like if the market begins to stay a little bit heavy, market begins to come down a little bit, I want to be in the one that's completely lagging. Sale? Nah. There's not even 200 days of chart history here. Just be patient. Sale point? Just be patient. Microsoft, man. Yeah, moving averages help because they just take out a lot of the guesswork, right? Like, how is it a bad stock if it's above the 200? How is it a good stock if it's below the 200? That kind of deal. And then, when you start seeing stocks in their groups, like, for instance, I talked about, I made a tweet about these ASML, right, where it gets above its 200, it starts to find support on the rising 20, gets above its 200, creates you a little, kind of a cheap pivot. Really, I thought it was just a smidge lower, like right here. Right, and then it starts to break out. And then, KLAC looked fairly identical. ASML looked, LRCX looked fairly identical. And even if you looked at IBM, it just did the exact same thing, but higher. Right, had a nice move up, had that little pullback, that double bottom, found support on the rising 20, had that little pivot, and they all look identical. And the reason they look identical is because institutions are running them. Oh my goodness, no. Clement, oh, I had no idea. Really? Oh, dude, send this turd way lower, man. What happened? I hope it was not a plane malfunction, because if that's the case, I'll look to short this sucker myself. Man, that is just terrible. I had no idea. I didn't even hear about that. Let's see. It was a 787. Oh. Another 787. Air India. Oh man, I can't believe I just watched that video. Oh no. With 250 passengers on board. Oh my goodness, dude. Man, that's scary. Oh, man, it's terrifying. I already don't like planes as is. When you hear shit like that, scary, scary stuff. Come on, Toast. I'm gonna need you to get your shit together, dude. Gold. I love gold. Gold looks good, dude. Gold looks really good. How could we be negative on gold right now? Even silver, more tennis ball action overnight, too. You know, this thing, they try to wash it out super hard and then it bounces right back. And then even last night, they try to wash it out super hard and bounces right back. I mean, silver's getting a little bit more crowded on the COT data side. So, you know, I think if this thing gets to 40, I would probably look to short it myself. But yeah, I saw DRS. Yeah, good eye, Victor. Yeah, DRS. I think this one, I talked about this one last night on the watch list video. I still think this looks good. I just don't quite see a setup here. Unless you were paying attention to it and you bought it, you know, as it was bouncing off the 20-day. I don't really see a setup though. Not just yet, but it does look good. I thought crowd was buyable yesterday. Yeah, I thought crowd was buyable over you know, prior day high, really over 471.77. You know, somewhere in this little area it was buyable. But yeah, it looks decent. You know, it's been holding the high volume close 460.56 for the last few days. That's the area I've been talking about, and it's been holding it, so it's nice. PL had some good news. This is aerospace and defense too, is it not? The spot that it's got to deal with is this high volume close here. It looks good. 596. STNE looks good. Let's take a peek. Yeah, a little flag going on here. Oops. Let me do something really quick. Yeah, looks good. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why DRS has gone sideways while its European ticker lost 8% because they don't want it in Europe and they want it here. I have no idea. All I know is that this thing's in an uptrend. First time I talked about it was a breakout over 37.70 was when I first had it on the watch list. And even this little $42 level I thought was pretty good. But it's still surfing the 20. It's still in an uptrend. Still looks pretty decent. Oh, man. And I slept good last night, too. I might have slept too much. Looks like somebody joined us back here. What's up, boy? Who's a good boy? It's the famous dog in my pick. Yeah, there are other instances when I consider. So, you'll get the gap down, you'll get bought up right away, and you'll get like this big increase in volume. I remember Spotify did something very similar, right? So Spotify gap down, gave you a big pickup in volume, and the very next day it was buyable, right? So right through 576.94. The difference is you're taking a stock in April going into May, and the market had been less choppy than to go ahead and try to take it in June, because now the market had already been in an uptrend, you know. And when you kind of got to the last few weeks, the market has been super choppy. So this one hasn't pushed away from the average well. It's just been kind of chopping, trying to get away from that high volume close. Volume's very important. Volume lets you know that people are buying. Um, I mean, you don't always need it. It's not always. Sometimes a stock will break through a pivot and then just kind of grind and then really have explosive volume later. But yeah, volume's definitely important, especially if you're on the right key level and it's just like a earnings gap up or a high volume close or a flat base breakout. It's like if you can draw. So for instance, um, there's a reason why if you go back on a few of my tweets, a couple days ago, whatever day this was, 6/6, and I talked about ARK. And the first thing I said with ARK was what the day that I bought it was I tweeted it and it was like right here, right? And I bought it on this day here, 6/5, took my loss, right? And then the very next day, you see these volume bars here, and immediately right in the morning, I tweet, ARK's taking on some heavy volume this morning. I ended up buying it 59.04, the next 5-minute candle, right? And then all of a sudden, this is what it does for the rest of the day, right? And look at the volume on the daily compared to the volume on the down day. So on the down day, you would be like, oof, man, that's kind of nasty effing volume. But then the next day dwarfs that volume, right? So yeah, volume is pretty dang important. It shows you're not the only one seeing what you're seeing. I use some DWAP intraday. Yeah. Nice job on trimming some of this TEM for me. Oof. There's a time when price might flush in the morning, and then as it reclaims VWAP, and then maybe I'm using it as confluence over prior day high, or over a key level. Where I'm just using. So whenever price is over VWAP, everybody who's bought today is in the green. Dude, Tom Lee is just, SMLR, such garbage. I hope he doesn't own this shit in his ETF. Otherwise, his ETF deserves to crash and burn. And you see this action, it won't be long before MSTR is doing something like this. You see GME, they're now a Bitcoin treasury holding company, and now they're below the 200 at 24 bucks. Won't be long before this thing's back in the teens. Guys, I didn't even realize the time. Thank you guys all for being here. You guys are awesome. Yeah, Tom Lee is bullish everything all the time. And if he's bullish SMLR, then he honestly needs to be off TV. But thank you guys as always for being here. I will, oh shit, it's Friday. I will see you guys on Monday. Please have a safe trading day. And I will see you guys all Monday morning, 7:30 a.m. Central, 8:30 Eastern, and the rest. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys all for being here. Wait, is it Thursday? Dude, I might be losing my mind. Holy it's Thursday. Evan, I'm over here thinking it's Friday, man. I will see you guys in 23 hours. Jesus, dude. This is how you know I've lost track of time. That's too funny. It's Thursday. Oh, that's good stuff. Dude, I'm telling you. I'm fucking losing it. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. 23 hours from now, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.